And we're live. Sorry for the slight delay. The Google Hangouts broadcast didn't want to go live this morning. It's been a bit slow, but welcome and thank you again for joining this Clojure study group. So this week we are going to do some more work with Mariacloud, do some more complex shapes, create some more interesting shapes, and hopefully try and animate them as well. And Mariacloud is a really nice sort of visual learning environment for Clojure, and we're going to be using that for ClojureBridge. Let me just share my screen. Let's minimize this. I'm actually going to change over to open broadcast software soon, hopefully by the next broadcast, so you won't get this little crazy little thing in the next time we do that. So let's see, that's the wrong page. Where are we going? There we go. I can get rid of that Google Hangout thing. There we go. So yeah, so ClojureBridge, if you haven't seen any of the previous broadcasts, it's a fun, friendly, free workshop for women and non-binary genders. And we have, yeah, it's basically people who have not coded before or have not coded in Clojure. And we've got learning paths, so we've got different levels of experience. So people who've never coded before, then we're recommending this colors and shapes in Clojure. So it's a very visual way to do this, and there's some basic instructions on how to get going with this. So we've got with Mariacloud, you can take a copy of the course, and you can create notes and add your own code and make your own course out of the kind of the details that we give you. All you need is a GitHub account, and you can go to Gist or GitHub to go and create that. And then we just fork this. Well, this is actually moved to ClojureBridge now, so we've actually got this London Clojurians ClojureBridge. Is that the right one? Well, that might not be the right one. Oops, sorry. I did warn you that I hadn't prepared this properly, but it should be in the link there. Did I put in a link in there? Oops, I'll put a link in there by the end of the project. But yeah, there's a ClojureBridge overview, which should be the right one. Did I? Oh, okay. Oh, maybe I did call it shapes. Okay, yeah, so this is the right one. Yes, because this has got all the latest revisions. Apologies, I renamed it to ClojureBridge Shapes rather than ClojureBridge Overview. So yeah, this is the one that's there, and I think I put a link in the chat if you want to go and have a look at that now. And simply in the top right, in the top right-hand corner, you'd have like a fork button here. This is the gist for my account, so I can't fork my own gist, but otherwise you would see a fork button there, and then it just creates a copy in your account, in your GitHub account. And then when you sign into Mariacloud, so sign in with GitHub, so you don't need to create a specific login for Mariacloud, you only need a GitHub login. And then if you open the little navigation bar, sidebar on the left-hand side, then underneath your gists, you'll see ClojureBridge shapes there as well. So you can go in and edit the document, the course, and make notes and change whatever you like. That's what I'm currently doing at the moment. So this is the ClojureBridge one. I'm still adding a few extra bits to it. So it's colors and shapes in Clojure. Oh yeah, ClojureBridge shapes. So that's this is all driven from that specific gist. It's why whenever I save it, I'm getting a new revision. And so you can kind of see how I've developed the course as well if you are that way inclined. And it's just going through introducing what a function is and creating and getting people to simply go in and create shapes by calling functions, and you can just press Control Enter or Command Enter, depending on if you've got a PC or a Mac. Then we walk through arguments, and then what function, like functions that return a value, and then adding colors and arguments. Oops. and then adding and then calling functions with functions as arguments. So we can create a rectangle here, and then we can create and then we can colorize that by having this rectangle, the result of this rectangle function being an argument to the colorized. And then I'm introducing collections and mainly just focusing on the vector, because that's the most common collection in, I guess, used in Clojure, although map's fairly common as well. And then we're doing also kind of showing you can build collections that are collections of collections as well. So it goes all the way down the rabbit hole. You can go collections that have collections that have collections and so on. Here we're just drawing a rectangle. So we've written a little help function that's just doing a little bit of destructuring. And so then we can just define a collection of widths and heights, and then just pass that over using this draw rectangle help function. Just pass this over the collection, and it draws the shapes for us as well. So then I went into building our own collections, and then describing what the map function is, a little bit more detail. And then we've done functions. So we've done map and function, map and filter as functions, and we've done like some interesting things. Like, so we use filter to generate. Oops, oh, I haven't. I didn't do that. Filter to filter out all the colors that are a particular shade of a color. Did I miss something out? Oh, quick collection. Boom. Oh, what have I done there? I've lost my function. Where'd that go? Oops, I'll have to fix that bit. Oh, there it is. No, that's not it. There we go. That's it. Sorry, that's the. So I'm not going through these now. So you can evaluate the whole body of the Mariacloud document, or you can just evaluate individual ones, which was what I was doing. But obviously, if you're evaluating individual ones and they're just like Clojure, if you haven't evaluated something that we used, then you're going to get an error. So this is what we're getting here, and I fixed it. There we go. So there's a little bit of work to do on defining functions, and because we have used a few little functions there, so we'll cover a little bit of that. And I'd like to do some more examples on reduce. But so today I'm going to try and create a bee, a little busy bee, and then also try and animate that bee as well. And there's also another idea of creating a house and trying to animate that as well. So we're going to use some of the examples from the existing content that Mariacloud have got, by creating shapes and so on, and perhaps also using layers as well. So here we go. So we can kind of overlap images. So the idea, I think, for the bee is to create two circles at the end, and then put rectangles in the middle to kind of give a bee-like kind of shape, really. So let's do that. Oops. So if I'm to so I want a circle of 20. How big? Let's do 50, so we can have a decent sized bee. So we can create a circle. So that's black by default, and then we can also have a circle that's yellow. And then we need to, if we want to colorize this, then we wrap that with a function called colorize. which is in there, and that takes a color as a string. Let's do yellow. And then we're going to apply that to the result of circle. So let's pull that in. Oops. Oh, the wrong way around. There we go. Yellow circle. So ideally, we want to put those into a position where they're on the same line. And so let's see. So if we look at the example here, it's created a layer and just put things at different positions. So they're all on the same x-axis, I think. That's oh, sorry, all on the same y-axis of 0, and just varying different points along the x-axis. So we do a layer. So we create a layer, and yeah, and so a layer just contains like a whole range of shapes, and then you're adding a position with respect to the layer name. Okay, so let's grab that. I'm going to call my layer. What am I going to call my layer? Let's call it B. Make it a bit more obvious about what it's doing. There we go. And then so instead of T, we can call it B. And so this is only going to add one circle. But let's see. Ooh, what have I done? Oh, what have I missed? What have I missed? Oh, okay. Okay, right. So B is the shape. Okay. Let's see. So we need a let before then. Okay. Boom. Let. So this is just a normal closure let. So let B equal. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. So it's a position, and then what do we draw it? So B. I guess we want B. Body end, because we're going to do two circles to be the start and end of the B, and that's going to be a circle 50, and we're just going to have a color, the same color at the moment, so we'll need to kind of inject a different color around that as well at some point, but we can do that by wrapping that somewhere. And we're going to have a B body ends. We want B middles. So we want a B body middle. That's also, then that's going to be a rectangle. So the B body middle is going to be the stripes. And so then we're going to take, let's see, so it wants to be, is it 50 and then 20, see if that works. And we need to pull that in, so we can do Control Shift and then the arrow key. So that allows us to do simple structured editing, slurping and barfing in here. Yeah, so you do Control Shift, and then I'm doing the right arrow, and then that pulls in the code from the right. And so now we've got layer. So what does layer do? Okay. Let me just look at layer a little again. Oops, wrong button. Ridiculous. There we go. Okay. So once B body ends. So if we do that, hello kitty. Hello Mal. And then we want another one. So yes, plus. Let's do that. So we want to overlap the circle about halfway. So that would be, if it's the circle's 50, so is that 25? Let's see. So do 25 along the x-axis and 0 along the y. And then we want the B body middle. And let's see, and then we want another one at the end. Oh, or maybe we want two more of these. Two more. So this will be the stripes of the body, although they'll all be the same color, so it will be a little bit tricky to tell at the moment. And then a final circle at the end. Where are we? There we go. So is that working any better? Oh, that's not quite. Oh, okay. I've got the positions all wrong. Not right, quite right. There we go. Let's see. So let's make that 50, 75, 50, 70. I may not have the width and height the right way around, but let's see. And that should be 90. Let's see what that looks like. That all seems to be drawing it at the so the center point is a 0, 0. So I need to put that lower. About 50. Quite right, is it? Okay, there we go. Oh, so it's doing yeah. So the top left-hand corner is 0, 0, and so I need to do I need to pull all the values down to 50, so that they're kind of showing at the top. I wonder how the other one worked then. So let's put 5 in the. There we go. And so it's drawing the circles, but it's not really. Oh, okay. And so obviously, I think the Y position needs to be further along. So that needs to be. So does that need to be 50-50 to draw the first circle complete? And then let's do 150 for now. And I'm just guessing the numbers. So it's like a rough position. So let's do 120. 90, 70. Let's see how we go with that. Oh, that's closer. I wonder if the rectangle's the wrong way around. This 20, 50. It's looking a bit better. Okay. And so the circle circle 50 is actually the radius. So that means that if the rectangle is going to be the same height, they need to be 100 because that's twice the radius. Okay, and they're drawing it from a different point. Oh, okay. So I think that's is that the layer that's defining where they are? Because the circle, yeah, they seem to be drawing halfway. That's a bit strange. Okay, this is interesting. That's why coding is fun. Especially with a nice visual environment, because you can see straight away, there we go. So you can see straight away what's actually going on. So there is, if you look quite closely, so we've got 2 circles and 3 rectangles, which are pretty close to each other. But they're all kind of, they're all the same color, so you can't really see the stripes yet. If I make this, if I was going to have the ends as a yellow color, then we can, yes, Kitty, yes, we should have the ends as colorize. So colorize the ends, and then we can see whether they're being overlapped or not. So we want to call them, we want to make them yellow. And then we can pull this in. So now the 2 circles should be yellow. Oh, there we go. And what if we change the order? Is it just simple as changing the order of the drawing of them? Because we want the rectangles to go over the top, really, I think. Let's see what that looks like. Paste. So do we draw the 2 ends first and then do the middles afterwards? Oops. There we go. Ooh, oh, that's interesting. Let's cut it up. Where's the? That's not quite what I wanted. How interesting. So you can do Control Z to undo changes. So that's where it was. There we go. I'm assuming that the last shape that you're drawing is defining the size of the canvas, the size of the cell you're kind of working in. And so if I draw the that's interesting. So if I draw this rectangle as the last thing, then it cuts off everything else after that. That's interesting. I might have to come away with another way to do that. I might need a second layer to I'm not sure I'm going to get around to doing any evaluation, any animation on this front. It's taking longer than I expected, but see how far it goes. Let's make that 140. So yeah, so the rectangle's got a width of 20. So I'm just making these, moving these along by a little bit. Actually, let's do that. So 50. 10. A little gap in between each one so we can see it clearly. And then I'll get rid of the gap once I get 40, and another 30 is 70, and then we want that to be 20, yeah, 70, 90, 900,000. That'll be quite big. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so that's kind of, and then, ooh, that's jumped up a little bit there. Oh, actually, I suppose I really want, if I'm going to cut off the half circle, that one need to be 50, and this 80, and that's 110, 130, 160, 30, 40, 55, 55, I think. Oh, that should be 140. There we go. 40. And obviously, if they were of all these rectangles didn't have a space in them, then it would hide the circle underneath. So I think it might be a case that I create two layers: one layer for the body and sort of body ends, and another layer for the middle, and then we put one layer inside the other, and then it'll draw both circles. I think that would be something to try. Okay, so we've got a B, and now we need to try and figure out how to randomly colorize these rectangles. So if we can do some very simple animation if these rectangles just change color, and we can use a cell to do this. So there's some examples. If we go into this example gallery, I think I don't think there's anything in shapes, is there? Let me see. Oh no. Okay. So, but if we go into gallery, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So this gallery gives you a lot of ideas about. So it's just Mariacloud / gallery, and it should, I think, does it appear on the? Yeah, so it should appear in your sidebar as well, I think, or it will do once you open it. So we've got, let's see, yeah, welcome to cells. Let's go and have a look at that. So a cell, I think I mentioned this before. It's a bit like having an atom in Clojure. You can go in and change the content of a cell. Basically, and it's this thing that's on the right-hand side. So when we draw something, then what's this going to do? So this is, I think it's just going to increase numbers. So it's just going to generate a whole bunch of numbers, yeah, and this is just creates bigger numbers. Oops, oh, I haven't created that. So yeah, it's creating so this is a bit like a def and deafen. So we can create a cell, but if we wanted to refer to the cells that we've created, we can create a def cell, and we can do different things with def cells in there as well. We got examples of it's a random number generator. And where was it I was looking for? I think actually if we go into the gallery, there's a very nice example further down. I did find cells. There we go, 15. Yeah, so this is kind of iterating over colors. So we're using colorize. We're basically mapping colorize over of square over like a collection of numbers. So like we did before, we had a collection of numbers, but here we're generating the numbers as we go along with range. So it's generating, I think that's the, oh yeah, so it's generating one number between starting at 0, going to 250 with a step of 25. So that's going to generate about 10 numbers. And that each of those numbers gets put in as the hue to this hue saturation level way. So this is a bit like RGB. So this is just the number values for a color, but instead of using red, green, blue, it's using hue, saturation, and L, whatever L was, I can't remember, sorry. And it's just mapping, yes, it's mapping this function over there to generate all these different, we do that. So if we go to, I think we can just evaluate just that little bit. See if we select that. I think we can see we can just see the values. So I'm just selecting this piece of the code, not the full expression, but just a part of the expression. And it's showing us the underlying data that we're actually creating. So just creating all these kind of numbered representations for all the different shades. Yeah, so it's generating 10 of those. And then from that data structure, then we're mapping over this little inline function. And this is basically just generating a square of 50 and then passing in this HSL color. So instead of using blue, green, red, and so on, it's using this HSL 0, 50, 0, 100%, 50%, and that's representing the particular color. So when we go in and edit this, then we get an actual color out of that as well. So we can iterate over those colors quite nicely and generate a different range. And if we go and I think there's a nice sunflower kind of example here. Yeah, there we go. So it's a pumpkin we created before. That's just simple. It's not animated, but you could animate some of the eyes, I guess. And where's the thing I was looking at? Oh yeah, state data space. Oh yeah, there we go. This was so this is somebody's drawn a flower. So they've got different. So they've defined leaves as a different as this vector of colors. So it's going to draw leaves of a range of colors, and this range of colors, and because it's a vector, then each of these colors can be indexed by their position. So hot pink is at index 0. That's at index 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are going to randomly kind of randomly get a color from leaves using the randomth, and it will then colorize that and put it in a position. So it's colorizing it with the color it gets from leaves, draws a circle of that color. So it draws a circle, adds the color to it, and then puts it into a position in there as well. So if we go and look at the flower itself, there we go. See, it's animated. And then we're putting it into a cell and just putting a little interval. So every 250 seconds, every 250 milliseconds, it's calling the flower function, which is this above. And because so it's essentially redrawing the flower every quarter second, and every time it's drawing the same shape, but because we've got some randomness in the leaves, then we can we can see the kind of, we get the impression of it being animated like that. Cool. So let's try and borrow some of this code. So we want some colors. So I guess we want 2 colors. Okay, where's my? Oh, there it is. There we go. And so let's add this B. I'll use the American one spelling of color because that's what all the rest of the code uses. And we want a vector to represent, I guess we want black. And okay, and so then we can wrap each of these calls to, because this essentially, this B body end is a call to the colorized yellow circle, but there's no, so if we keep the B body ends the same color, and then we're just going to change, we're just going to animate the middle bits. So rectangle doesn't have a color, so it's kind of black by default. We could just put something around, so we could put the colorize around. Colorize around the B body, and then we're going to the B colors, and then pull it in, slip that in, boop, Control Shift key, and so I'm going to put that on a new line just to make it easier to see. Okay. So position 50-50, it's going to draw something at a different color, and so we just need to do the same thing for the other ones as well. So that's, well, we can see if that works by just evaluating it over and over again, see if that actually doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Oops. So it should be changing this one. What if we do? Did I miss something out there? Let's see. Interesting. Oh, run end, not run end. Yes, of course it is. Oops. Sometimes bounce doesn't always help because it kind of gets you on. So yeah, so randomly taking an nth number. So it's just going to randomly pick one of these from there, pick one of these colors from that. So that should work now. And it doesn't. Oh, yes, it does. Okay. I guess if we have to press it enough times. So we can see we've got some very basic animation there. It's a little bit hit and miss. Ideally, we want to be able to cycle from one to the other, really. And there is a cycle. There's a cycle function, if I remember rightly. No, so yeah. I guess if we, maybe this might work. So if we have B colors and we make B colors a cycle of this, I think if I remember rightly, that would work. Let's see. And then, because ideally I'd want to change between black and yellow each time. So each time you evaluate B colors, it's a different version. So what cycle should do is just go. So it would take black, and then it would take yellow, and then it would take black, and then yellow, and black, and yellow, and so on, and so on, and so on. I think, hopefully, if I've got this right. No, I haven't got it right. I think I've broken it. Oh, sugar. When did I last save this? Oops. Now we get to see whether, okay. I'm going to take a snapshot there just in case it all crashes. Let's cancel. Cancel. Wait. Oh yes, because cycle is. It did say it was an infinite lazy sequence, so may have broken it. Let's just, while that's thinking about something, let's go and look at the what that function does. I did warn you, but this is all live coding and very experimental. There we go. This is what to do when things go wrong. Go and look at the docs. Yeah, returns a lazy infinite sequence of repetitions. The item, so it should be lazy. So it should be okay. Oh, yeah, okay, right. I probably didn't put. I think it's a bit like range. It's only lazy if you give it some context. Otherwise, it just goes off and generates a. So if we do I think my CPU is slowing down again, so it should, hopefully it's let's see if it's kept everything. Hopefully it's reloaded it and hasn't, because I think it does usually, Mariacloud does usually cache the things it's got. So let's look for cycle. Oh, it's still there. Whew. Yeah, okay, that's really good. I mean, I'm very impressed with Mariacloud. It's so I guess we want first. We want to put first around that. Just going crazy. There we go. So yeah, Mariacloud's very robust. It does cache a lot of the stuff. It's using Firebase on the back end as well. So I think everything's kind of getting saved either in the browser or on Firebase as you're doing stuff. But it's pretty good at kind of saving it. And when you press save, that's actually updating the. In this example, it's updating the gist. So now we were on version 17. We're on 18 because I've just saved Mariacloud in there. So we've got, yeah, so we've got this saved just in case I break it again. So luckily it's timed out because it's probably come to some limitation of like stack or heap, and just decided to close it down, close that process down. So that's good. So hopefully, if we need to, no, okay, we can, there's the B, and it's not breaking, but it's not quite doing what we need it to do yet. So why is that not? That should be, I think that works. Did I get something wrong? So look, cycle. So we've got cycle A and B, and we take 5. Okay, let's go and try this in my editor. I'm not connected. Where are we now? Go to try out some experiments with cycle. I'm just starting my REPL. Might be the first. It doesn't like let's see. So we can, if we take 5, we use the example they gave us. Just of cycle. Hello. It's a little bit bigger. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, so my REPL started, so I can evaluate that, see what that does. There we go. So yeah, so we get black, yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow. There we go. So that's working. So if I do the same thing there, oh, maybe it's okay, right? I don't think that quite works as I expected it. No, because it's only ever going to take the first if I just do the first. Yeah. Just do first. It's always going to take the first thing there. I can't do it infinite. So that's an interesting idea, but not first. Like, no. I think, yeah, I think just having random ints, random nth is probably just as good for now. I think I'll have another think about what to do about that later. I think. Let's see. So rand. I wonder what that does. That's a new one on me. So it's all back to where it was. We got B colors just being a vector, and we're just going to randomly get one of those from there. I suppose I could put in. I need to know what the color is to start with, wouldn't I? Yeah, if you did like a condition to see if it's black, then like make it yellow. But then you need to kind of keep track of what the state is, and I don't really want to do that just yet. So let's do this for all the other ones. Let's see. There we go. Copy. Those two. That's that. And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make this a cell so I don't need to keep evaluating it over and over again, but let's just do that for a second now, just see if it's working. It's kind of got some very basic animation there. Yeah, interesting. There we go. And then, so then we can use cells to animate. So press an empty box. So if you've got a blank line, you can just press enter and it can start typing some code in. So if I do a cell and I need to give it an interval. So just see doc. If I want to see what it does, let's do doc cell. Evaluate that. So key and a value. Let me just double check on there. So the key and the value. So it's okay. So it's cell, and then it's just putting interval of 250 around flower. Okay, so let's do something like that. So cell, and then we want an interval. which is part of the cells, part of the library. And just do 250 milliseconds, so that's a quarter of a second. And then we're calling, we didn't define, so we defined this as a let, but we didn't define this as a function. So let's do that. We need a function. We're not passing an argument. Can we just use a def? What do we use here? Oh yeah, well it's called, it used a function. I suppose, yeah, if you go def, once you've defined something, then it usually it doesn't bother calculating it again. So we would need to have a function. And if we've got a function, we do need to define arguments for it, even if it's empty. Different line to make it a little bit easier to read. Okay. And so then now this is a function. So instead of drawing something, we can evaluate it, and we get the B. What does that do? Okay, right. So you can see the function. Oh, that's quite nice. Yeah, you can see the function. You can toggle the function code, the function definition off and on. And then we can animate B. Ooh, neighbor's baby's going crazy. There we go. And then we get B. Well, there we go. So that's a bee-like shape. Very simple bee-like shape that needs a bit of work, but you can see we're animating the bee, and it's we've made a start anyway. So it's hopefully this has given you some clues about what we could do in that. I'm going to work on this over the weekend and try and make it more bee-like and play around with the layers and so on and see what we can do. So that's about it. Is there any questions? I haven't seen any questions in the chats today. Yeah, so just to recap, so I'm going to save this. So again, if you want to play around with this, then I put the link in the chat to this document, so you can just go in and all the changes I'm going to make. I'm assuming you probably just need to refresh the page and you'll see the changes. And I'm saving fairly recent, often, so you'll get to see like the different revisions I'm doing in here as well. So if you refresh that, it should be on. Oh, that's on 19 now. So feel free to, if you do fork this, but then you do want some changes, I'm not quite sure if you can fork it again or not, but you can certainly just copy paste. You can go in and you can see the raw version of this and just copy it all. Ooh, okay. And select it all and copy it. Oops. And then paste it over any of the stuff you do, or you can just go in and select the bits you want if you've already made your own changes. And we shall have a much more finished version by the time ClojureBridge comes around, which is all on there. And all the details are on there. All the details are on the ClojureBridge London website, which is different to the main ClojureBridge.org website. But we've got our learning paths there, so you just need to go in to the learning paths, colors and shapes, and it tells you how to get set up. I'll put the proper link into that, and I'll update the picture to reflect the exact one that we're doing, so you can fork that as well. And yeah, that should be everything done. And I'll try and think of a nicer way to do the bee colors, so that we get alternate black and yellow colors there as well. Although there's no reason why you need to limit it to 2 different colors. You can put as many colors in there as you want. Make a very psychedelic bee. That could be quite fun as well. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And if you do have any ideas about what things we can add to this content, then please let us know. And if you come up with some interesting code, then that'll also be great to see as well. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm going to leave it there. Just check there's no more questions. No more questions. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye.